1 week of real estate jammed into 5 minutes. Stay tuned.
I'm the ringleader, so listen up.
Wow. What a week. Isn't that the truth, Mark? It is 1 week of real estate jammed into 5 minutes. This is what we call Friday Frenzy. You get Mark and I on a Friday. You get the rest of our incredible team every other day of the week. But so much happens.
So much. So much. And it's hard to get that information local to our industry. Often it's very national and often it's very old. But this is cutting edge.
Yeah,
What's
it is.
happening?
Absolutely. And not only that, Mark, we're reporting the facts, good, bad, or ugly. We are reporting the facts. It's not always the market's great, you should buy now. We're telling it as it is. And I think that's really important. But you did sum it up. We are, we're giving you the cold, hard facts of what we're seeing on the ground in real estate. You go Google Sydney property, and I tell you what, it is absolutely so broad and so general, the kinds of information you're going to get.
Yep.
So, this is the cold, hard facts. Hey, let's start this segment talking about the most iconic property in Manly that we listed this week.
Over 130 inquiries in 24 hours.
Yeah. So just to put that into perspective, what is 130 inquiries? Because we talk a language in real estate that really no one else understands except real estate agents. Over the duration of a typical campaign, we would be getting right now in this current market, we'd be getting about sort of 50 inquiries coming through. That is over the entire duration of a campaign.
Yeah, over a 4-week period.
Yep, approximately. We have received over 100 inquiries in a 24-hour period.
Amazing. I've never in 30 years of real estate seen that many inquiries come in within 24 hours.
Yeah, it's pretty phenomenal. And my phone.
Why? What is it about this property?
So yeah, let's talk about it. So this is the most iconic residence in Manly, probably on the Northern Beaches. Everybody knows this house. It's number 2 Riddell Street in Manly. And just before I go into what this property is, Mark, I just want to say it is an absolute honour and privilege to be chosen to sell this residence.
I thought you were going to say to be married to me.
Oh, well, that goes without saying. That goes without saying.
No, it's pretty incredible. Hey, it is like, and also at least there's probably 2 key beaches in Sydney.
Yeah.
And there's sort of one to the north and one to the south of the CBD, and the most iconic 2 are Bondi and Manly, distinctly different for what they offer. And you are you're not Switzerland, you're not both, you're one or the other. So
Yeah.
people that love the beach, this is the one in Sydney for them.
It is. It's attracted an enormous amount of media attention, and I'm not surprised. It sits perched, just to give you guys perspective, we're talking about how fortunate and privileged we are to have been chosen to sell one of Manly's the most iconic home in Manly to Riddell Street. It sits prominently perched, facing due north with gun barrel views right down Manly beachfront. There is no other home there. There is no other home like this. It sits independently up above the Surf Life Saving Club.
It sits proud. It sits
really
proud.
Does. And independently. So there is no other house around it. There is an apartment block that sits back from there. There it is there. So that's the property, guys, sitting just to the left. You can see Manly beachfront. Just sitting in front of that is Manly beachfront. So gun barrel, completely unobstructed views. You literally feel like you are in the ocean. What's nice about this one, Mark, there's so many, I mean, I could go on all day about this incredible property, but what's so amazing is you literally have got the sand and the ocean from every single balcony, deck, and window. There is no obstructions whatsoever. So it's over 3 levels, and it does have a swimming pool, which is crazy. The swimming pool almost sits in the sand of the of Manly beachfront. It's all home. It sits on approximately 400 meters squared, so it's not a massive block. It is freehold, which is unique for the area because a lot of properties around there are leasehold, and this one is not. And as I said, it sits on about 400 meters squared. It's all home. Much of the home is quite original, but it is immaculate with its parquetry floors and solid brick home. It is absolutely immaculate. The kitchen, the dining, and one of the bathrooms was upgraded in the 90s. But besides that, the rest of it is extremely nostalgic. It's got this beautiful big sweeping staircase. Again, views all the way through the property.
Okay, Lise, what hard question. Hasn't sold for 42 years. Why do people dream about such a phenomenal? Why is it captured the imagination of so many people now? I'm hearing a lot of comments from people saying, since I was a kid, since I was a kid, since I was a kid. Why? How can a property, nostalgically grab that someone from the age of 5, 7, 10 or 12 and take them through to 50, 60 years of age and go, I want that? Like, what is it's pretty hard to understand that.
Well, it's the trophy home, and it's like, if you miss out on a property like this, there's some beautiful properties in Manly. I mean, Bower Street, Mark, there's some spectacular homes there. You miss out on a beautiful home there, no doubt something else will come up over time. To Riddell Street, that's not the case. You miss out on a trophy home like this. There is no other. There is no other in Sydney. So, name any, Mark, but name anywhere in Sydney a home that sits independently like this property does, with views all on its own, just sitting right at the peak of a beach. You can't get that in Bondi. You can't get that anywhere.
But to get like 50, 60 years down the track in life and then go and invest that much money in buying a property, it's pretty intriguing how it can emotionally move someone to do that, because that's moving your life, part of of your life savings. To say that's where I want to be. It's probably the biggest investment someone's ever going to make. Well, it is the biggest investment that person's probably going to make.
Absolutely.
In their life. It's significant that a property can do that to your emotions and to your, I think that's a pretty, what a property.
These properties are priceless, and this has been the hard thing, guys, because a lot of people, obviously, a lot of the inquiry has been, what's the guide on the property? We don't have one yet. The vendor's instruction is, please gather buyer feedback. We want to hear what the market has to say. How do you put a guide on a property before you've actually done your research with the buyers?
Really,
and a lot of the buyers are the local community. So it's really, really important to gather that buyer feedback, and then again, based on my vendor's instructions, we may look to put a guide on there. But this is such a unique property. Even giving comparables was just an near impossible feat. So we are going to be heavily reliant on that, and it will go to auction. That's the vendor's instruction. So this one's due to go to auction on the 22nd of October at 9 a.m. in the morning on site.
That's Riddell. And good luck to our sellers and good luck to our buyers. And I think it's not about, and this is a discussion Lisa and I were having last night. I think when you're selling something like this, it's not about selling it, and it's not about buying it. I think it's about the journey that you make, the path or the journey along the way. So it's making it as easy as possible, as informative as possible, as stress-free and happy as possible, that transaction for the seller. and for every single buyer that inquires in that property. So an agent's duty, which lease does really, really well, is to make sure that that whole path is cleared, level, easy to walk for every buyer and the seller. So it's going to be an interesting campaign, sheerly because of the volume of people that you
Yes.
got coming through.
Oh, without a doubt. Within, I think within 2 minutes of launching the property, first it actually went to my socials and I had an enormous amount of inquiry. But as soon as it was launched out to realestate.com and Domain, literally within 2 minutes, Mark, I had a phone call from one of the major newspapers. It's, as I said, it's a very iconic property. I saw someone else there, I think it was Luke, how I got the listing. Luke, when you look after people, look, you know, this goes years and years back, and it was just simply, you know, relationship building. This is a family that I had sold a very, very small property for many years back when I first came into sales, and they just said, seriously, you have been the best agent we have ever worked with, and I had no idea anything about their history, absolutely nothing at all. And anyway, when it was time for them to make the decision to sell this beautiful property, I'll be honest, they didn't even look at another agent. They did not even look at another agent. And there's plenty of great local agents down in Manly.
There is. Good luck with the campaign, Lise. What else has happened this week with you?
Let's talk about New Zealand, Mark.
Ooh,
What's
yes.
happening? New Zealand,
We're
we've been
doing
there
twice in a week. You went last week, I went this week, 2 different conferences, doing real estate conferences this week. I spoke about property management. You spoke about social media. And it's amazing that internationally that people need this information.
Well, how crazy. And I'll tell you what's amazing is a lot of these agents, we've spoken to hundreds, thousands of them in the past week, have said, and so how many offices have you got? And it's like, oh, no, we've just got that one office, a team of 50 in DY on the northern beaches of Sydney. People are like, what? And you get that much content from one office? They think we're global or something. But it's great to share this information and give back to our industry. Like, we're massive advocates of that. Advocates of that. So sharing the knowledge, sharing the love. You were talking about property management.
Yep. Which went, and people always often want to talk about sales, and property management's as transactional as it's probably twice the amount of labour or 3 times the more amount of labour in the whole industry goes into property management, but it only gets about it doesn't get that airtime. It doesn't get 3 times more airtime than sales. But if you look at the labour forces in real estate offices, you know, a lot of them are doing property management capacity versus sales capacity. But when you look at that, the amount of information out there for rentals, it's lacking. It's pretty cool.
But Mark, we don't talk about it a huge amount. I mean, we probably do more than the average, but we manage a lot of properties. So we manage over 1,600 managements, residential and commercial. You know, what would the norm be, Mark, if you were just, you know, your typical real estate office? What would the norm be in the industry?
Probably between a couple hundred. 100 to 200. You know, it's probably a fair number for across Australia. For offices, and they get a bit bigger in metro areas. You know, there's more investors, there's more rentals. But yeah, interesting. Doing that. What else would happen this week? We did. There's been a lot of proceedings for the King.
Oh my goodness! I'm fascinated by it. Actually, do you want to know where I'm watching a lot of it? There's some
TikTok.
really cool content on TikTok, guys. I've only just gotten into it. There's some really cool content about the, about the royal family and the Queen's funeral. It's unreal, little snippets, but really cool stuff.
Yeah.
It's a bit raw and unscripted, so I love that. Yeah.
New iPhones coming out this morning in Sydney. Yes. You can pick one up if you've ordered one, the Sydney. Wish me luck.
It's like Christmas Day for you, Mark. Seriously, you woke up this morning, I think it was the first thing he said, new iPhone's coming out. And I was like, oh, that's good. He's so excited though.
What is that? I don't know why, but yeah, it's I don't know.
Geek. That's why. You're a geek. If no one knows that about Mark, he is a geek. Seriously. Mark loves technology. I'm the polar opposite. I'm absolutely hopeless with technology. But I am impressed with my TikTok skills. I learned a lot of the new the new updates that have come through on the iPhones. I've learned all these new hacks.
If you've got an iPhone, you can go to the general settings and update your software to the iOS 16. It's a brand new look and feel on your phone. You can do it with your old phones.
Yeah.
So Lisa's done that, and I've done it on Lisa's phone very reluctantly because she refuses to put her phone down for 3 minutes. So I had to wrestle it off her, and then she had to abuse me for the entire 3 minutes while I was updating her phone twice. I didn't get through the first time because I got abused so hard. Second time I made it through.
And he ignores me while I'm like, how long's it going to be? I need my phone. I mean, mind you, I had 5,000 Riddell inquiries coming through, and I was like, this is going to crucify me.
Doesn't matter when or what happens. It's always the same.
One hack on there is you can, so once you've done the upgrade, guys, you can go into your photos and you can actually hover over your photo and you can copy it, and then you can drop it into a message, or you can put it anywhere. That's such a cool thing. I love that.
So you can copy and paste a photo from the
yes,
from the album.
So easy. I love that. What a great hack. So that's the iPhone. I also just want to talk quickly about two things, Mark. Low stock volumes coming on for spring. By now we're starting to see an enormous amount of stock. This week, any stock that we had that was having extraordinarily long days on market, that all sold. It literally flew out the door this week. Gone. All of them. The buyers, how's the interest rate rise, Mark? And the buyers not saying anything this time around.
This time everyone's poker face after the interest rate rise. So rather than oh shit, oh my God, everyone's like, yeah, whatever. Next.
Yeah,
so people are seasoned.
Well, I think they've factored in it's going to go to this, and let's just work with that, and we've got our finance, let's go spend it. I had a lady call me the other day, and no, low stock, Luke, sorry, I don't know if we got that wrong. There's low stock. We're not seeing a huge amount of stock coming on for spring. So there's this big buyer frenzy right now, and it's exactly what I predicted. Didn't I, Mark? I reckon 3 months ago I did a video called the David Jones half-yearly clearance sale and said, watch it, guys.
Yeah, puts pressure on the sale.
Yeah,
like it's like scarcity always puts the price up on stuff. Or I had a discussion yesterday with a developer. I think it was Meriton, and I was saying that the floor's been brought back into the property market. So where it was a full property market, where's the floor? I found that a floor's now in that property market. I reckon we hit the bottom.
No, I think I'm confident. I'm confident we're at the bottom now. And again, I still think we're going to see a little mini spike, Mark, particularly over the next 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
While you've got a lot of these sellers sitting on the sidelines there, just going, I don't know if I'm going to get my money. Actually, maybe I will. And then they'll slowly start launching in about 4 to 6 weeks. That's my thoughts. But yeah, the interest rates had it.
Australia's biggest developer. I was with some senior management guys yesterday, and I love hearing their numbers about how many sales they're doing a week.
What are they doing?
I won't tell you the numbers, but I will tell you
that down?
They're up. And they've even had price rises in some of their buildings.
Wow.
So they're as a result of it. So they hadn't seen these numbers the last 3 weeks that have happened every week since April. So I think it's really good. I think it's good to hear that. Why? Because they've built 70,000 properties, Meriton, and it's nice to hear that's there. So I think, and then you put that together with what we do and seeing the marketplace. It's exciting.
Yeah.
So hopefully where am I going with this? Hopefully that floor's come in like falling, and now the floor's in there. Also, Lee, one thing I want to say, I had a powerful conversation yesterday with a commercial landlord thinking of selling. No one has talked about the commercial market The residential market is all over the media, but guess what? Unaffected, unscathed, untouched is the commercial sales and the commercial
Wow.
rentals.
Wow.
Another big landlord I was talking to yesterday for commercial, he has no problem reletting his assets at all. Words out of his mouth. And another landlord I was talking to yesterday was saying we're really upset about our commercial property price. And I said, what are you talking about? They said, oh, hasn't that gone down? I went, no. They went, what do you mean? I said, that's all residential that you're hearing in the media. I said, actually,
So what are
commercial
stock levels
great.
like? What are stock levels like for commercial?
Low.
Oh, they're really low. Wow.
Really
Interesting.
low, and prices are great. When you're selling a commercial property, people are happy with the
Yeah.
prices they're getting.
Wow.
So on balance, on average,
Interesting,
a long
hey?
show. Anything else?
But it is a long show. Just two things, two buyer calls I had, Mark, in the last 48 hours were saying, what's that, Mark?
You got angry at me for my finger before we went on show today.
Yeah,
So
because Mark does this with the comments. That's why I'm like, Mark, we always see your fat finger.
But my finger, that's life. It's just the controls close to the camera. At least you got to get used to it.
So two things I heard this week from two independent buyers was, I've got this amount of money, I need to buy something today. So hence what I'm saying, low stock levels, that the buyers are getting worried because they thought, oh, we got, everything's all in our court, all the stock's going to come on, we're good to go. And it never came on. And so they've got this pre-approval now. They're desperate to spend because you go back to the banks.
Boom.
Well, you go back to the banks, Mark, to get your pre-approval redone if it runs out. And guess what? All of a sudden, you don't have 800,000 to spend. You've got 650,000.
The assessment rates changed.
Yeah.
The way they assess you has changed.
Guys, if you have your pre-approvals, go spend the money. If you have your pre-approvals, go spend the money. You will have less in your hand, right?
Yep.
Otherwise, if you let that pre-approval run out, you will have less money to spend. Fact, go look at the stats. They're all there.
You going out on that one?
Yeah.